you start focusing on him all night long, which you have to be aware of him, but if you start focusing on him all night long, they got a bunch of great players out there. I don't even know if he's the fastest receiver they got. They got some burners.
So does that mean just double covering him is not even an option?
Oh yeah, we'll do it some, absolutely. And of course, a lot of different ways you do that with, what everybody calls double zone, just too deep. Try to have somebody over the top. Try to disguise what you're doing, all the above. Got to get some pressure on the quarterback to have any chance. That's got to improve. But, as great a player it is, and it's obvious that they're trying to get the ball to him, there's some other guys that can really make plays, and you can't lose the attention to them too.
How are Devontae and Robinson doing?
They're doing okay. I don't know the details on all the stuff on the medical thing. Gus had to tell you Tuesday, but he probably out this week. We don't know for sure.
What did you see from Mons out there? He looked like he got really good bursts at certain times, and Mont Adams, come up the middle, looked like he was kind of.
Yeah, did some things. I think as an entire team, we did some good things. I'm not sure. I think Sanford's a really solid football team in their league. Obviously, it's not what we've been playing against the previous 5 weeks. So like I told the players today, we got to find out whether it's who we played or how we played. And I think a lot of guys did some things and improved during the week and during the game. And we told them that's what we needed to do to have a chance to go up there and win.
If Lambert can't go, how do you sort of adjust your defense?
Well, we've had Gabe and Montravius play out there before. I'm sure they'll have to be repped and be ready to go. Rashid Kenyon came in the other night, got almost basically his baptism as far as getting to play some. Whether he was up for this or not, I don't know. But if Pee Wee can't go, then we'll have to probably double work Gabe at tackle and end, and be prepared for that rotation.
What did you see from Josh and playing the star, and kind of what was the thought of that?
Well, Cadillac didn't have a full week of practice. He had a bruised shoulder and didn't have a full week of practice. I think he got the first series, but Josh had been repped during practice in the emergency, and then when we gave him the rotation, he played well. So I think Coach Harbison just out of a measure of trying to keep Parisi healthy and get him, moving forward, and Josh get even more work at it. So we'll have that option when we have to. Toward the end, I think Nick got some plays too, but Josh played the bulk of the game, and that was good for us to have something, in the future to have some rotation there. Hopefully we'll have a good, healthy week with Parisi this week and get him ready to go.
How valuable is Josh's ability to just really play anywhere?
Well, the biggest thing is the mental aspect. He carries a pretty big load. He played corner last year. He's played the dime and the star for us. He's played the boundary safety. He's played the free safety. Playing the two deep safeties is pretty easy to learn. When you start playing down on the second level, there's a lot of things he's got to learn. Blitzes, or man pickups, and a lot of those things. So he really has. We put a pretty heavy load on him, and he's been a very versatile player for us.
You go into a game like this where your players have obviously seen the kick six replayed over and over again. How do you try to maybe block that out of their minds going into a game like this, all that fuss and noise?
I don't know how many times they've seen it. Of course, they play at the beginning of our football games every time our guys are not on the field. It'll be, the game will certainly be hyped up. I think it's the greatest college rivalry in football. And it'll be hyped up. If we'd played a little bit better 2 or 3 games this year, it'd be an even bigger one. Last year, everybody had a stake in it. It was going to be huge. This year, we're kind of spoiled. But we got a lot to play for. Coach was talking about the other day, I think it's 1988 since we've had back-to-back 10-win seasons here. So that's a huge goal for our football team. And just to beat Alabama, obviously, these players and these seniors in particular would be a great thing for us. But we've got to play a lot better than we've been playing. I think they have probably playing as good a football as they've played during the season, and I'm not sure we are. We've got to step it up.
How much does that worry you going into this, that this team really hasn't been consistent at all on either side of the ball down the stretch, where Alabama has been that team?
It doesn't, I don't know if worry is the right word. As a coach, every week you're concerned that you're not playing your best football if you're not playing your best football. So again, playing a better football team obviously going to make it a bigger challenge. But no matter who the opponent is, we just got to improve in some areas, and there really a lot of things are very correctable. We just got to get more consistent about doing them right.
Ellis, you've seen this, you've been part of this rivalry on both sides. Can you compare
the difference between one side or the other?
Not
Or is
really.
it different?
Not really. I remember when I was in Alabama one time, I told Mike Dubus, I said, it seems like people around here are more hyped up over the Tennessee game than the Auburn game. He looked at me and he said, you ain't lost to Auburn yet. So I got the message real quick there. But, you know, it's obviously huge on both sides. And, you know, in most years, you know, I've been in some other good rivalries, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Clemson. Most years in this rivalry, somebody's in the national picture, or somebody's obviously in the SEC picture, and there's no exception this year. Last year, we both were. So usually, there's a lot more riding on this game, and I think that probably raises it to an even higher level.
How did you, looking at film, how did you grade the defense versus Samford, especially like after the touchdown? It seemed like they really locked down. You had 3 yards the rest of the second half after that.
The biggest problem I told our guys, you know, we had a few mistakes. You can always have some mistakes in a game. We saw some formations, saw some blocking schemes. They had some good surprises for us, and they did a really good job. Give them a lot of credit. The biggest thing is these penalties. And it's not just on defense, but in particular on defense. Just line it up off sides. I don't care if it's Samford, if it's Green Bay. I mean, just line up on sides. The calls during the course of action, I mean, we send them in, and I think, you know, officials do a great job. But we get some interference calls and things that we're not going to uncoach our kids to play aggressively. I think some of them are very questionable, but that's a judgment call. But then after the whistle penalties, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, we got to cut those out. There were 3 drives last night that were 40 yards or longer, and the whole thing had 13 possessions. 3 drives went for 40 yards or longer. Every one of them had penalties in it. We're extending drives, or either we're giving people, instead of 1st and 10, it's 1st and 5, or instead of 3rd and 10, that's 1st and 10. And we got to cut it out. You know, we got to play better and function. But if we just stop the penalties, I think we'll come off the field a couple more times a game.
Ellis, as big as this game is for everyone on the field and preparing for the game, and players who are from the state, coaches from the state, et cetera, how big is it to the bigger picture of the programs where you're competing for a lot of the same players on the recruiting trail over the years? Both sides have players like that, but Rashawn and Ruben really took it to a different level here the past 2 years, and obviously your staff and what that meant not to get them. Just how much does this mean to the bigger picture of those things?
You'd have to ask the players. It'd be surprising to you. Now, if a program was consistently dominating another program, then I think it probably would come into play, you know, with a young man who didn't have a tie to one place or the other. But really, if you sit down and ask the majority of recruits why you picked a school, a lot of times that's not the first thing. It's very important now. A lot of them, they don't have any interest in going and playing in a program that's not committed to being competitive in the conference or in the national picture. But they're really looking for a better fit, and a tremendous number of them want to play quickly. They want to play early, and they want to get to play the freshman year. They've been the big time players, and they don't want to sit around for a year or two and wait their turn. But that's, you know, it affects recruiting, but to what degree, I wouldn't say it's a huge degree. Most of the guys, if you look at it right now, we're battling Alabama maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 guys right now to fill up 3 or 4 spots. Most of them have either made up their mind or they've cut one of us out of the loop. And, you know, I'm certain it's still huge, but I don't think it's one of the biggest things.
One or two more. I would say, what stands out about Alabama's running game when you look at them on film?
Well, they had great running backs, and boy, at the beginning of the year, they had 3 of them. You know, they could feed out there at any time. And I know 17's gone and injured, but they're able to keep guys fresh. They're talented. They got a good offensive line. I think Lane's doing a great job. They got so much balance in their offense. You can't load up on the running game. You got to get the ball outside so quickly to those wide outs. But they're spreading you out. They'll get powerful with you down in the red zone, but right now they're spreading people out. Those backs with a little bit of space are really difficult to tackle. They can make you miss and they can run over you.
How do you think they compare to Georgia's duo in that regard?
Similar, you know, they're different style, a little different style, but one of them's kind of physical and Henry's more physical and kind of like Chubb, and you know, Yelton could take it, any play can go the distance, just like Gurley, but they're all good. I mean, I think all those guys you're mentioning will be playing in about 4 years. You know, be watching them on TV, and hopefully no serious injuries. But it's really hard when you got a great running back and you got another one that can come in and the level doesn't drop. drop, because they stay fresh, and it's hard, much harder, obviously.